Hey man, let's start with a truth. Most guys are too afraid to accept. If you want a great relationship, a real one, not a fantasy, you can't be the nice guy. You can't be the pushover. You can't be the guy who bends over backward for her validation, approval, or comfort. Because while she'll say she wants a good man, what she actually craves is a man with a spine. A man with fire, a man who doesn't play by her emotional rulebook. You must be a bad man, not evil, not cruel, but a man who refuses to be tamed, a man who doesn't fold under pressure, a man who chooses self-respect over people-pleasing, even if it means being misunderstood. The word bad is deceptive. Society calls him selfish, arrogant, toxic, but deep down, that bad man holds the very qualities that ignite a woman's deepest desire: dominance, direction, discipline. He doesn't ask for permission to be who he is. He doesn't apologize for setting boundaries. He doesn't chase affection or beg for connection. He knows what he wants, and he knows who he is. And that kind of certainty, that kind of energy, it drives women crazy because it doesn't cater, it captivates. You see, women don't fall in love with nice. They fall in love with power. And power doesn't mean control, it means presence. It means you're not moved by moods. It means you're not manipulated by silence. It means you walk into a room and shift the dynamic without saying a word. The bad man owns his space. He's unapologetic in his masculinity. He doesn't hide his ambition, his desire, or his standards to make someone else comfortable. And because of that, women orbit around him, not the other way around. Ask any woman who's been in a long-term relationship. The guy she stayed with, craved, obsessed over, he wasn't always sweet. He wasn't always soft. He wasn't always agreeable. He had edges. He had a no that meant something. He had rules to his world. He had a code. And when she tested it, he didn't fold. He held his ground. And that resistance, that unwillingness to be molded into her fantasy, is what made him unforgettable. Because while kindness is admired, strength is desired. Let's be brutally honest. The bad man triggers a woman. He triggers her ego, her wounds, her fantasies. And in doing so, he gives her a chance to grow. He doesn't enable her dysfunction. He doesn't reward drama with attention. He doesn't coddle insecurity. Instead, he challenges her. He holds up a mirror. And while it may hurt in the moment, she knows deep down that she's safe in his presence. Not because he gives her everything she wants, but because he won't sacrifice himself for temporary peace. In today's world, masculinity is misunderstood. Men are told to be gentle, soft. But what women truly respond to isn't gentleness without backbone. It's strength with restraint. The bad man is not abusive. He's not reckless. He's just not manipulable. He sees through the games. He calls out the nonsense. He doesn't reward bad behavior. He's emotionally intelligent, but not emotionally submissive. And that balance, that fierce yet controlled energy, is what makes him the rarest kind of man. You ever notice how the guys who get walked on are always the ones trying the hardest to be nice? They think their kindness will earn them loyalty, that their silence will keep the peace, that their compliance will guarantee love. But what actually happens? She gets bored. She gets restless. She starts looking for emotional stimulation elsewhere, not because she's evil, but because deep down she wants to feel something. And the bad man, he makes her feel, not through pain, through presence. Being a bad man means you're not afraid to walk away. That's the ultimate power. You don't tolerate disrespect. You don't entertain manipulation. You don't stay where you're not valued. And when a woman senses that you can leave at any moment, not out of fear, but out of self-respect, she rises, she softens, she becomes more feminine, because now she knows she's not dealing with a boy who needs her approval. She's dealing with a man who walks with purpose, with principle, with power. You don't become that man by reading lines off a script or copying some alpha gimmicks. You become that man by healing your wounds, by facing your darkness, by building something real. You become that man by knowing who you are, outside of women, outside of validation, outside of emotional highs. That's the man who walks into a relationship and doesn't get lost in it. That's the man who creates gravity. That's the man women call dangerous, not because he harms, but because he doesn't need. So if you've ever been called cold, too blunt, too intense, good. That means you're not molding yourself to fit a fantasy. That means you've got edges. and edges are what shape reality. The bad man understands that peace without strength is fake, that harmony without truth is manipulation. So he speaks up, he holds the line, he challenges her when no one else will. And in doing so, he becomes unforgettable. He becomes the man she might hate for a moment, but respect for a lifetime. A great relationship isn't built on comfort, it's built on clarity. And the bad man is clear about who he is, what he wants, and what he won't tolerate. He doesn't hand out love like candy to whoever asks. He doesn't sacrifice his mission for temporary affection. He doesn't try to be perfect. Instead, he invites the woman to step into his world, not redesign it. And if she resists, if she fights his frame, mocks his values, or tries to soften his edge, he doesn't argue, he just leaves. Not with drama, but with peace. You see, the bad man doesn't need to control a woman. He doesn't need to dominate her. He doesn't need to impress her. He leads her. He holds space for her, but he never sacrifices himself to gain her. That's what separates him from the crowd. Most guys try to earn her love. He doesn't. He creates a reality that's so strong, so grounded, that love naturally flows to him. Because in a world full of emotional noise and indecision, his certainty is addictive. It makes her feel safe. Even when it scares her, she might test him, she might provoke him, she might try to make him prove himself. But the bad man doesn't flinch. He doesn't react. He observes. He watches. And he decides if she's worthy of his presence. That alone flips the entire dynamic. Most men are waiting to be chosen. He chooses. Most men are desperate to be seen. He remains mysterious. Most men are emotionally available too soon. He reveals himself in layers. That's what keeps her intrigued. That's what keeps her chasing. Don't mistake this for playing games. The bad man is not manipulative. He's disciplined. He doesn't move emotionally. He moves intentionally. And that's what drives women wild. Because she can't predict him. She can't control him. She can't own him. And yet, she feels safer around him than she does around any man who said yes too quickly. Why? Because safety doesn't come from comfort. It comes from consistency, from conviction, from knowing he'll never betray himself just to keep her. The nice guy doesn't get that. He thinks giving more equals getting more. He thinks emotional availability is always attractive. He thinks pleasing her means keeping her. But women don't want a mirror, they want a mountain. Something to challenge them, something to sharpen them. Something that doesn't change just because they're moody or confused. And the bad man, he is that mountain. He doesn't move, he doesn't chase, he doesn't entertain chaos. He just stands, tall and unbothered. Every time you compromise your values for approval, you chip away at your power. Every time you silence your truth to avoid conflict, you become invisible. Every time you agree just to keep her, you lose a piece of yourself, and eventually she'll leave anyway. Not because you weren't nice enough, but because she couldn't feel you, she couldn't respect you, she couldn't admire you, she couldn't surrender to you. And deep down, that's what her soul was craving, a man worthy of surrender. You want to be the man she brags about, the one she compares every other guy to? Then be the one who wasn't afraid to say no. Be the one who walked when disrespected. Be the one who didn't text first after being ghosted. Be the one who didn't collapse under pressure. Be the one who made her nervous, not because you were scary, but because you were real, because you didn't play into her fantasy, because you didn't lose yourself trying to be her idea of love. That's the man she never forgets. Great relationships aren't about harmony, they're about polarity. Masculine and feminine, leader and responder, structure and emotion. And if you're too soft, too agreeable, too eager to please, you kill the polarity. You become the safe choice, the logical choice, but not the exciting one, not the magnetic one, not the one who makes her feel alive. And while she might settle for the nice guy, she dreams about the bad man. She obsesses over him. She wonders if he ever thinks of her, because he left an imprint that safety never could. And here's the kicker. When you truly become this man, you won't even want to chase anymore. You won't need to. Women will feel your presence from across the room. They'll be drawn to your calm, to your certainty, to your silent confidence, because now your energy speaks louder than any pickup line. You've become rare. You've become undeniable. And women don't just want to be with you, they want to earn you. They want to be chosen by the man who chooses himself first. So don't be afraid to be the bad man, the one who doesn't apologize for his strength, the one who leads with clarity, the one who says what he means and means what he says. Don't let society shame you into softness. Don't let her tests break your frame. Don't let comfort rob you of character, because the greatest relationships are built on respect, and no woman respects the man who gave up his edge to keep her. She respects the one who kept his edge and let her rise to meet it. The world is full of men who used to be lions, powerful, grounded, focused, but they got tamed by comfort, by approval, by women who rewarded softness and punished strength. And now they walk through life confused, angry, resentful. They gave everything and still got left. They compromised their edge and got discarded, and they wonder why love doesn't feel like love anymore. But it's not love that failed them, it's who they became to earn it. They stopped being men to be liked, and in the process, they lost both the woman and themselves. The bad man doesn't let that happen. He remembers who he is before he meets her. He holds that memory through every phase of the relationship. He doesn't shrink when she cries. He doesn't panic when she pulls away. He doesn't chase when she becomes distant. He remains calm. He remains steady. And that unshakable presence, that's what draws her in. Not because he begged, not because he performed, but because he never stopped being a man. Not for her, not for anyone. Women don't fall for potential, they fall for energy. And the energy of a bad man is intoxicating. He could be broke, flawed, even struggling, but if he carries himself with power, purpose, and unapologetic masculinity, women will still be drawn to him. Why? Because he's alive, he's untamed, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't tiptoe, he doesn't fear her leaving. And that fearlessness is what makes him dangerous and desirable. It tells her that she's dealing with a man who values his mission more than her mood. You want loyalty? Build something worth being loyal to. Build a frame she can lean into. A life that doesn't revolve around her validation. A mind that doesn't break every time she pulls away. Because women don't respect men who crumble under pressure. They respect the ones who stay on purpose. The ones who keep moving even when she's confused, emotional, or withdrawn. The bad man doesn't stop his life to figure her out. He lets her figure herself out and decides if she's still worthy once she does. There's a reason she keeps going back to the guy who didn't chase her. It's not because he hurt her, it's because he made her feel, he made her wonder. He made her reflect. He showed her a version of masculinity that didn't beg, didn't break, didn't bend. And now every man she meets after him is being measured against that energy. Not because he was perfect, but because he was whole. And that wholeness, that's what women crave more than love. They crave a man who doesn't need them to feel complete. She may call him toxic, she may call him cold, she may vent to her friends about how he never opened up, but what she won't tell them is that she still thinks about him, still dreams about him, still checks his page at 2 a.m., hoping he misses her too. Because deep down, she knows he was rare, he wasn't like the others. He didn't fold when she got emotional, he didn't jump when she tested him, he remained himself. And that kind of man, that kind of strength, it lives in her mind forever. The nice guy wants to be liked, the bad man wants to be respected, and that difference changes everything. Because when you chase being liked, you become whoever she needs you to be. But when you demand respect, you remain who you are and require her to rise. That's how polarity is built. That's how obsession begins. Not through compliance, but through contrast. She's the storm, you're the mountain. She's the emotion, you're the anchor. She's the feeling, you're the frame. And sometimes she'll leave. Sometimes she won't be ready for that level of masculine presence. She'll go chase softness. She'll try to lead. She'll try to be in control, but it won't satisfy her because the feminine was never meant to lead. It was meant to surrender, and only the bad man evokes that surrender. Not through force, but through unshakable presence, through being a man who cannot be moved by mood swings, tantrums, or emotional bait. And when she realizes that, she'll miss him, she'll mourn him, but he'll be gone. A great relationship isn't built on two people meeting each other halfway. It's built on a man leading and a woman following, not because he's better, but because he's built the road. He knows the direction, he carries the weight, he protects the frame, and that only happens when the man refuses to be soft for the sake of comfort, when he chooses mission over mood. when he risks being called bad in order to stay true. That's not toxicity, that's the foundation of masculine love. So become that man, the one who's willing to be misunderstood, the one who holds his line, the one who builds before bonding, who leads before loving, who walks alone before letting her walk beside him. Be the bad man who chose truth over comfort, clarity over chaos, purpose over performance. And what you'll find is this: the right woman will never leave that man. Because while she might test him, challenge him, or even fear him, she'll never stop craving him. Because deep down she knows he's real. You've got to understand, being the bad man isn't about being cruel, reckless, or manipulative. It's about being uncorrupted by validation, by neediness, by desperation. You are bad only to a world that expects men to crawl for affection. You are bad only to women who can't handle a man who doesn't bend. And ironically, that's what draws them in. Your lack of desperation, your clarity of mind, your refusal to be seduced by chaos, those are the very traits that make her knees weak and her soul restless. Not because you're hurting her, but because you're not giving her the control she secretly wants you to take back. There's nothing more dangerous to a woman's emotional chaos than a man who won't flinch, a man who listens but doesn't get pulled in, who sees the storm but doesn't step into it, who loves without losing himself. That's who she dreams of when she's alone. That's who haunts her long after she's gone, and she'll try to deny it. She'll claim she wants peace, that she wants security, that she wants a man who shares his feelings, but she'll leave those men again and again, because deep down her soul longs for the fire, for the danger, for the man who can be emotional but chooses mastery over expression. That man is rare, and that's why he's irresistible. When you stop chasing, she starts wondering. When you stop proving, she starts observing. When you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, you rise into a version of yourself that women can't forget. They don't even know why they miss you, but they do, because the last time they felt that kind of stability was never. You weren't the storm. You were the eye of it, calm, unbothered, self-contained. And in a world of reactive boys pretending to be men, you stood apart. Not because you said the right things, but because your silence spoke louder than their approval ever could. Let every man hear this. You don't become this kind of man by accident. You don't stumble into presence or discipline or boundaries. You build it through loss, through rejection, through letting women go who didn't deserve your depth. You earn your edge in silence when no one claps for you, when no one understands, when everyone thinks you're cold. That's when you develop your spine. That's when you earn your peace. And when you come out the other side, you stop begging for love, you start choosing it. And that shift, that's the real power. When you stop asking, will she stay? And start asking, does she deserve to? You'll know you've become that man when you stop chasing closure, when you stop needing answers, when you let women walk away and never look back. Not because you're bitter, but because you understand. Peace isn't found in explanation, it's found in self-respect. And any woman who couldn't see you before will have to watch you now. Watch you rise, watch you rebuild, watch you attract better. And that silent punishment, it's louder than any revenge. Because you didn't get even, you got elevated. Women know which men are a phase and which men are a standard. One entertains her chaos, the other holds her accountable. One performs for her attention, the other watches her patterns. One adapts himself to keep her. The other walks when his standards are broken. And deep down, she knows one day she'll have to choose. The man who made her feel powerful, or the one who made her feel peace. The one who bent to her moods, or the one who stood firm in his truth. And when that day comes, you won't be waiting. You'll already be gone. Because real men don't pause their lives for women who can't see straight. This is your awakening. Every time you said yes, when you wanted to say no. Every time you held back your truth to keep the peace. Every time you doubted your gut because she called you controlling. That was you shrinking. That was you abandoning yourself. That was you becoming less of a man in order to be more liked. But now, that man is dead. In his place stands someone sharper, colder, more self-assured. Not because you hate women, but because you finally love yourself more. You don't need to be a savage to win. You don't need to be a player or a manipulator. You just need to be unavailable to bullshit, available to loathe, available to loyalty, available to softness, but only when it's earned, not just given because she exists. The bad man is not bad at all, he is good. But he's good in a world that calls goodness whatever flatters it. He is loyal, but to standards, not emotions. He is kind, but only to women who honor his time. He is available, but only to the rare woman who can bring peace, not drama. That man builds empires and decides who gets invited in. In the end, relationships aren't about what you get, they're about what you allow. And when you stop allowing manipulation, disrespect, and emotional chaos, you find something better than sex, than attention, than even love. You find sovereignty. And from that place, you don't need a relationship. You choose it on your terms, with your values, with your frame intact. That's not bad, that's revolutionary. So yes, be the bad man. Be the man who isn't afraid to walk away. Be the man who lives by truth, not comfort. Be the man who leads, even when it's lonely. Because one day, a woman will meet you and realize you are what she always needed, but never believed she deserved. And when that happens, you won't have to chase her. She'll chase the version of herself that can stand beside a man like you. And if she can't, you'll keep walking, with peace in your chest, fire in your eyes, and your masculine edge sharper than ever.